The air was crisp, biting at her cheeks as Anna Bagenholm tightened the straps on her ski poles. The slopes of the Bagenholm mountains stood before her, serene and glistening under the pale May sun. To any observer, it was an ordinary day for the Swedish radiologist. A quick escape into the snowy wilderness with her friends, Torvin Nasheim and Marie Falkenberg, after their hospital shifts. Yet that ordinary day was about to turn into a battle between life and death. A struggle so extraordinary it would defy medical understanding. Anna, a confident skier, relished the feeling of gliding down the slopes. The mountains, silent except for the crunch of skis against snow, seemed a world away from the sterile hospital corridors she worked in. But as she sped down a gentle descent, something went terribly wrong. A misstep, perhaps a patch of unseen ice, and suddenly Anna was tumbling. The slope, deceptive in its calmness, betrayed her. She hit the frozen surface of a hidden stream with brutal force. Her back slammed against the ice, the impact radiating through her body. Before she could even cry out, the ice beneath her cracked, splintering like fragile glass. In an instant, Anna was swallowed by the icy waters. Her world turned upside down, literally and figuratively. As she plunged headfirst into the freezing abyss, the water was merciless, pulling her deeper, turning her body rigid as the cold gripped her. She clawed at the edges of the ice above her, but it was futile. The jagged surface cut into her gloves as she scrambled, her breath fogging in the small air pocket she managed to find beneath the ice. Panic surged through her as she screamed, her voice muffled and swallowed by the frozen silence. Above the surface, her friends arrived moments later, horror etched on their faces. They found Anna's legs, the only part of her still visible, kicking desperately. Torvind and Marie grabbed her skis, pulling with all their strength. But the ice held her captive. The wetness soaked through their gloves as they tried again and again, their breath coming in frantic gasps. "Hold on, Anna," Torvind shouted, though his words seemed to dissolve into the icy air. Anna's clothes were waterlogged, dragging her further into the abyss. Time was slipping away, and with it their hope. 7 minutes passed, then 10. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Torvind fumbled for his phone, his numb fingers dialing for help. The signal crackled in the remote mountains, and when the rescue team answered, their voices were grave. It would take time, too much time. Under the ice, Anna's world narrowed to the sound of her own heartbeat hammering against her ribs. She forced herself to focus, her training as a medical professional taking over. She found a pocket of air, gasping greedily. Even as the freezing water began to seep into her every fiber, the cold wasn't just numbing, it was stealing her. First her fingers, then her limbs. It felt like her body was abandoning her piece by piece. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Despite the paralyzing cold, Anna's mind clung to one thought: survive. But as her temperature dropped and her body began to shut down, the air pocket became her final sanctuary. After 40 minutes, her vision blurred, the darkness encroaching, and then her world went silent. By the time the rescue crew arrived, it had been a full 80 minutes since Anna fell into the water. They found her pale, eerily still, her body locked in the icy grip of the stream. The rescuers, seasoned professionals, knew the odds. No one survives this, no one. But Mads Gilbert, the doctor in charge at Tromsø University Hospital, was not one to give up. When Anna arrived at the emergency room, her body was cold as death. Her internal temperature had plummeted to 56.7 degrees F, 13.7 degrees C, far below the threshold of life. Her heart had stopped beating, her blood no longer flowed, and her breathing had ceased. To anyone else, it was already gone. Gilbert's mantra, however, was clear: nobody is dead until they rear warm and dead. The team moved with precision, each second a gamble against the impossible. Anna's pale, lifeless body was connected to a heart-lung bypass machine. Blood was drawn from her frozen veins, warmed carefully, and pumped back into her body. They worked tirelessly, the hum of machines the only sound in the sterile operating room. Minutes turned into hours. Gradually, Anna's temperature crept upward at 87.8 degrees F, 31 degrees C. Her heart, against all odds, gave a weak flutter. It wasn't too much, but it was enough. Hope surged through the team as they pushed forward. determined to snatch Anna from the jaws of death. 12 days later, Anna opened her eyes. The room was blurry, the fluorescent lights harsh against her retinas. She tried to move, but her body betrayed her. Paralysis. Panic clawed at her throat as the realization dawned. She was trapped, imprisoned within her own skin. The medical team worked tirelessly to explain, to reassure the extreme cold, they said, had saved her brain, slowing her body's processes to a near standstill, preserving her despite the lack of oxygen, but the frostbite had ravaged her nerves, leaving her motionless from the neck down. Still, Anna wasn't at one to give up. Just as she had fought beneath the ice, she fought now. Her days became a grueling routine of therapy and determination. Her fingers, once numb and lifeless, began to twitch. Her legs, unyielding for weeks, showed signs of strength. Slowly, painstakingly, she learned to walk again. 6 months later, Anna stood atop a snowy slope, skis strapped to her feet. The mountain called to her, not as an adversary but as a reminder of her triumph. Each gust of wind whispered a story of resilience, of survival against insurmountable odds. Anna, survival remains a testament to the fragile yet resilient nature of the human body. Her plunge into icy waters, once a harbinger of death, became her salvation. Her brain, flash frozen by the cold, required so little oxygen that it continued to function. Even as her heart and lungs gave out, though her record was surpassed in 2010 by a 7-year-old Swedish girl, Anna's story endures. As a reminder of the indomitable human spirit, a story of how even when death seems certain, life can find a way.